What's up, everyone? It's Bob and Chris from the Join or Die podcast. Today is Sunday, January 5th, 2025, and we already have two, what seem to be, well, at least one is a terrorist attack, and another car bombing that happened, where was that, in Vegas, in front of Trump Casino or Trump Towers, whichever one it was, and today we're going to talk about that. We're going to hit on the NOLA attack pretty briefly. But we're going to spend a lot of time on the Vegas one because there was a YouTube video with Sean Ryan. Some of you out there probably know who he is and probably have seen his shows before, where he had an interesting guest on. What was his name?
Sam Shoemate. Yeah.
Sam Shoemate, who claims to be an intelligence officer and...
well, I think he was.
Well, he was
a chief warrant officer, too. I think he was Army Intel retired. And I think what he said he does now is he kind of acts as a liaison for whistleblowers. He said some guys are full of it, but he said he tries to vet them as best he can. And apparently from what he's claiming is that the Vegas cyber Green Beret bombing, what was his name? Livelsberger, tried contacting him. I think he said a day or two, something like that, before the Cybertruck explosion, bombing, whatever you want to call it. And Sean Ryan basically has him on. It sounded like Sean, and we'll get into it a little more. It sounded like Sean did his best at moments notice to vet this. There's some controversy over the internet. Some people are saying that Sean is full of it, or Sean is enabling Sam, who's full of it. No, he's not. So I don't know. We're just going to talk about it. I like Sean a lot. He's been wrong before, and immediately upon that goes on and corrects himself and owns it. So there's no reason for me to believe that he's lying. Whether or not this guy lied to Sean and didn't know, I don't know either. But I mean, we're just gonna kind of, I guess, approach it from both ends, and then we'll touch on the New Orleans attack. And I think more than anything, we're gonna basically go after the FBI and the police chief, or the superintendent, who seemed to be completely full of it.
The first thing that the FBI had to put out there was that this was not an act of terror. This wasn't terrorism.
With an ISIS flag wrapped
The guy has an ISIS flag on the back of his truck. Now, there's
and what
reports
did he use?
out there.
A truck, which is what they used before in, was it Nice, in France? They killed like 80-something people using a truck. But yeah, they couldn't wait to get their DEI hire out there and immediately say this is not a terrorist attack. I mean, at the very least, you should say, we don't know yet.
We're investigating
it. We haven't confirmed or denied whether it is. But then New Orleans, at the same time, their department was saying it was. Mm-hmm. So right away, you have the conflicting agencies. And
did you watch that press conference by any chance?
Some of it, yeah. It was shit. There was too many people talking for too long, saying a lot of nothing.
And you got Senator John Kennedy up there with his solo cup. At first I thought he was dipping and I thought he was spitting into it. And
he's not bad.
I like John
I think overall he's.
I think he's solid.
I think he means well.
I think he's solid.
He's
but
he's just one of the very few I actually.
He's just funny how he's up there. The way he was standing, he looks like Uncle Eddie from. Was it was an Uncle Eddie from Vacation? From
Cousin
Eddie from National Lampoon's Vacation. Just his whole stance.
I think he's a Louisiana senator too, right?
Yeah, that's why he was there. Yeah. But yeah, that whole press conference, it really seemed like the locals weren't on the same page as the FBI.
No, and listen, I don't believe anything the FBI says. Anything. That is, you want to talk about, what is it? They say trust but confirm or something like that, or whatever that old saying. Where I don't believe anything they say. Mm-hmm. Usually, it's like as soon as they say it's not a terrorist attack, it's like it's probably a terrorist attack.
Yeah.
And again, you had the woman come up there, a complete, imbecile. You can look at certain people and go, why are you there? As a young woman, she had no clue what she was talking about. She's clearly there to be the talking head for the FBI.
Yeah.
To say it's not a terrorist attack. Right after New Orleans is saying it was a terrorist attack. And even at first glance, I think it's safe to say, just if I have to think, like, okay, so we have a truck come down, run over 10 people, or kill 15 people, 14 people, the number changes. But that many people, there's an ISIS flag, why it's a lot easier for me to walk back it's not than to walk it up. You know what I mean? Like to sit there and say it's not is pretty asinine.
Well, yeah, because that's definitive. This is not a terror attack. It tells me that that's a definitive answer that you came to within the short amount of period that you had to actually investigate it, which was like no time basically. And before we move on, I do want to like give props to the local law enforcement because they acted very quickly.
The boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground. Acted
the cops
just like
really
they
good.
should. They ran toward it and they did a great job. So kudos to them.
And we're tough. We're tough on the cops because former, current. It's we know how this works and we know a lot of the toads that are in the department. But the cops on the ground. You saw the one video as soon as the radio call came out. We've been in situations like that. Everybody's sitting there having a cup of coffee. It's slow, and then a call comes out. You can't get in your car fast enough.
Boom, yeah.
Those guys. I mean, they went right down there, and I think a couple cops were hurt, and shot at, but threw some lead back and killed them. So yeah, for the boots on the ground. Excellent job.
Definitely a good job. There's still so this was he was Army, right? He was an Army guy.
Yeah, he was an Army. Yeah, he was sound like an admin guy or an intel guy or a cyber guy or whatever.
Who they're saying that there's reports now that he was radicalized within the last couple months, I guess, or fairly recently. But then there's also reports out there saying that, we spoke to the guy and he never said anything.
I think his own family was kind of like, no,
yeah,
I don't. Dude, who knows?
Well, I mean, if you're going to be radicalized and you have something in your head you're going to do, if you're smart about it, you're not going to tell anybody. You're not going to be like, oh yeah.
But I think if you're that passionate about whatever the radicalization is, it's gonna seep through, and people are gonna be like, yeah, dude, he's been saying some crazy shit.
Yeah.
It's like if you're mad, people know you're upset about something. It's like you can only, I mean, if you're to that level of whatever radicalization, or even if it's not something like that, you're going through a divorce. Hey, he's really depressed. Like it wears. Like people who know, like yeah, that's been wearing on him.
Yeah.
I find it hard to believe that the people closest to him are like we really didn't notice a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
This is related, but on another note, for the last couple years now, especially ever since the Israel and Palestine war has progressed, you have people in this country, American citizens, who are in the street saying Intifada come to America, and they're cheering on this shit.
That was like the day after, wasn't it?
This is what happened. Well, this was before this.
No, I'm saying, but they were doing it again the day after.
They took this. I think they took the streets of New York somewhere, Manhattan, maybe it was Manhattan. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was New York, and they're screaming this in the street. Well, this is what you get. This is what happens when Intifada does come, when the revolution does start here, and they're gaining more traction, and it's scary. It's scary because I have a bad feeling that something major, I mean, this is major, but something even more major is going to happen. Maybe this year, maybe next year, but very soon.
No, it's going to happen
this year. Something very extreme is going to happen. I don't know on the level of a 9/11 or something like that, but
I think it's going to be on like Paris level attacks.
We're getting closer. Well, it seems like that's
dozens, if not hundreds, of people. I don't. Listen, I could be completely wrong. You know as well as I do. This goes back, we're still talking like about the New Orleans thing. It doesn't take much. Like, this guy gets a truck and he runs over. It sounds like he kills 14 or 15 people, which is awful. And we're become so, I guess, cold to violence that 14 or 15 people is not that big of a deal anymore. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, it takes, now there are basically, and this was on the Sean Ryan show, there are bombs that are non-detectable now. They make non-detectable bombs.
Invisible bombs, yeah.
How hard is it now to run into the Super Bowl, which is going to be in New Orleans in a couple weeks, or in a month, or whatever it is. The thing is, we're past the point of these people like, well, there's no way I'm going to pull this off without getting caught. They don't care if they get caught. They're taking people with them. So if you have one or two or three guys all run in at once, or one guy creates a distraction and the other guy runs in and clacks one off, I mean, you're talking about hundreds, if not, depending upon how big this bomb is. I mean, there's no way of stopping these people. You know as well as I do. We've done this long enough. You tried to catch them, but we always look at it like, well, we'll catch them. But the thing is, if you're going to catch that guy and he clacks one off, well, that's a diversion. I mean, he's going to take a plenty amount of people with him, whoever the cops and security are trying to catch him. But the thing is, he's going to clack that off. All right, and look at like what happened in Boston. You had the one bomb go off, that threw everybody off, right? And then the other bomb goes off down the block.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so when that first bomb goes off, that's going to attract everything. Everybody's going to run to that area for the most part. There's going to be chaos. It's not, and what happens? Everybody's running, right? People are going in every direction. So how hard is it for someone else to now run into that crowd or run right into the stadium, clack another one off, and then another one? If these people don't care about dying,
and they don't,
there's no way of stopping this. And I would not be surprised if something happens at the Super Bowl. I don't know how you stop it.
Often you don't catch them because their end game is to die in the process.
Right. It's a different way of thinking. It's we'll get them. Or you know, these people they don't want to die. You know, for this cause. These people don't care, and the only way of stopping this is catching it before it happens and shutting the freaking border down would probably be good. Now, these guys aren't coming from across the border. These guys have been radicalized inside.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest with you, dude. I don't know how you stop it now. I think I don't know how you stop it. Not to mention how many, you know,
Well, you have to have a competent FBI,
which we don't.
CIA. You have to have a competent intel who are actually going to be as transparent as they can. And when you mess up, say that you messed up. There's no accountability.
But I think they want it to happen. I think people.
But why?
For war, for money.
Yeah.
No, you know, no war, no money. This usually comes back to even pharma, which not in this case it doesn't have anything to do with pharma. You know, why don't they come up with cures for this and this and that? Well, they want you sick so they can keep you as a customer. But in this case, they want these kind of terrorist attacks so they can point out a boogeyman and say, oh, it was Iran, but Iran is funded by Russia, and Russia's the enemy, and you know. Now we can go to war, and here comes all the big military-industrial complex companies, and here comes the money. I mean, this is what happened with Iraq, right?
I mean, shit. We fund certain organizations that promote terrorism.
What do you mean?
Like I think it was Sean Ryan was talking about. They were talking about in the show. We gave money to.
We still do.
Yeah,
the Taliban.
Yeah, the Taliban. 40
or $40 to $60 million a week. A week. And we didn't leave $60-70 billion of equipment behind on purpose. Are you kidding me? No. So without going too far down that rabbit hole, you know, I believe, and if you listen to Sean Ryan, we're going to put his link in. But if you the link that we're speaking about today, we're going to put in. But he spoke with someone. I think she's a CIA analyst or intel analyst. She's always getting in trouble by the CIA and the DOD because she talks too much, which I think is a good thing if they're talking too much. But she basically talked about how violent 2025 has the potential of being. And she talked about this weeks ago. And just, you know, about the first day of the year, you had a terrorist attack. And she talks about 1,000, I think she said 1,000 basically military-age men who are now in this country looking to put together an attack. 1,000. We saw what 1 or 2 can do.
We saw what 3 can do with 9/11.
Well, yeah. I mean, Boston was two brothers who, you know, I mean, just and what did they have? You know, so I mean, you know what 1 or 2.
I mean, you saw what 1 can do with a truck in New Orleans.
You saw what 1 can do in Paris.
And that was January, so there was a lot of people there. But I'll tell you what, I've been to New Orleans, and I was just there on an October weekend for a bachelor party, and there was a shitload of people there. So at any point during a Friday, Saturday night, during the week probably as well, that place is packed.
Every day, every
night,
yeah,
that place is packed.
It doesn't just have to be Mardi Gras or New
Year's.
So
Mardi Gras, there's a hell of a lot more people.
But here, so that gives us right into what we're taking some notes on. Why the hell did they not have barriers up? So, I mean, putting the FBI's incompetence aside, it's not the FBI's job to manage a city. So if you look at the mayor should, I mean, you can't fire a mayor, unfortunately, but she should step down. They won't because they're narcissists. But at the very least, the mayor oversees the police department. I mean, she hires the police I think they call him the superintendent or commissioner or whatever, the superintendent. Did you see the superintendent?
I did see the superintendent.
She looks like she runs an HOA, not a police department. I mean,
know,
as soon as
I
she
know.
got up there, and I went, Jesus Christ, she looks like she's 70 years old. She's got, I looked her up. I looked up her bio.
She's not from Louisiana, right? They have to pull her from somewhere.
She's from all over the place.
Yeah.
She was in Oakland. She was in was it Portland. I don't know. She was in, and everywhere she goes, she seems to get in trouble. She was fired from one place. I can't talk about getting fired. It's all about. I mean, sometimes you all wrongfully terminated and get your job back, but I think she ran people over by accident. Ironically, she just seems like an absolute incompetent. She's another one of these degree holders, so apparently that makes you really good. But from what I heard, and this was said on Sean Ryan's show too, New Orleans cops were sending, I guess, memos up the chain about how to prevent terrorist attacks and what they can do to strengthen that particular area, and were denied training. And that says everything, which we know. I have no problem speaking on it. Philly is really the king of. Well, we'll wait till there's something bad, and then we'll figure it out.
I honestly think that's all major city departments.
I agree. I
for
think
whatever
a lot
reason,
of major cities.
For whatever reason it may be, I really feel like all major cities have a huge training issue, and I don't know if it's because of the amount of officers that they employ, that they have to get the training for. Training is expensive depending on what the training is, but at the same time,
you train the trainer then. You send 2 or 3 guys and they come back and train. We call it train the trainer.
Yeah, but
you don't have to send 30 people. You can send 2 or 3 of your better ones and have them come back and instill what they learned to everybody else. That's what we used to do. I mean, when it's expensive.
But at
least try.
Yeah,
at least you can say we try.
It's better than nothing. They do try to do that in this department specifically that we're talking about. That in Philly, they do try to do that with certain training.
But
not with major training such as like riot training and stuff like that. But I mean that's a good point. Just send a few.
But how hard is it to put up? How hard is it to put? You don't need training to put up.
No. This is completely. This is a different situation. This was a failure on the city because from that press conference they were putting stuff up and they said that failed.
What did they put up?
I can't remember.
If a truck gets down the street.
No, it wasn't put up that night. I'm saying like they had.
They said they were getting it ready for the Super Bowl, but it's like, well, why not just have it ready? Period. And when you have Bourbon Street, which is one of the biggest party streets in the country, and why wouldn't you have something, even if you're not worried about a terrorist attack, just a drunk, driving a car the wrong way down the street and hitting people? Why wouldn't you have some kind of? I don't like the use of concrete barriers because you can't move them if you have to fast. But what do we use?
Bollards, you mean?
Well, no, we use garbage trucks.
Bike racks?
No. Just like to basically block off a street from cars coming in. You can just put a dump truck out there with a person
you do dump
driver.
trucks, yeah.
So this way, if first responders have to get down, they can move the truck, as opposed to the concrete barriers, which can take forever to move. You move the truck, the first responders go in, you move the truck back. Or you have dump trucks filled with sand. Basically, you're just using obstacles to prevent people from coming down, but they're movable obstacles if you need them to be moved. And it doesn't cost very much. I mean, you're basically taking city vehicles, city employees, putting them in there saying, okay, here's your overtime for the night.
Here's my thing with that, though, is this guy drove on the sidewalk. He didn't
How wide is the freaking sidewalk?
Well, what I'm trying to say is if you put dump trucks there, you're going to need at least 2, right? You need 2 dump trucks.
Right.
You're still going to have that sidewalk open. So if you have to move that truck, because if not, you're going to have people. Now you're impeding the sidewalk. So people are going to have to go around the dump truck to get back to the other side. So I don't know if it's feasible on that street. Now we're talking about if you're talking about a big street like Broad Street, like Bourbon Street isn't that wide. So if you're talking about a big street like Broad Street or something like that, like a big avenue, big boulevard, it's a lot easier to put trucks there and then move them as need be. Mm-hmm. But when you on Bourbon Street, 2 trucks, I'm telling you right now, if you put 2 trucks, I don't know the size of their trash trucks out there, but if you put 2 trucks head to head, and then you got to move them, just the 2 trucks head to head, it's going to impede on the sidewalk a little bit, which is good in this situation because the guy wouldn't have been able to get on the sidewalk. But I don't know. I don't know if the foot traffic thing is what they're thinking of. Then you got to go around.
Yeah, but I mean,
safety is more important than inconvenience.
Right. I mean, if you're just worried about him jumping the sidewalk, then at that corner have some kind of pole set up or concrete.
That's what the ballers should have.
Right. All you need is one, and you're good for the rest of the block because you're going to have the truck blocking the street. So there's no way this car can.
If you had the bollards,
at least try and say we did this, and this. We tried to do things.
If you had the bollards, right, or even a cement structure like we were talking about earlier, if you had that on each corner. Each corner, northwest, southeast, you have them on each corner, and then you put a trash truck in the middle. That's perfect. Now you can't. Now nobody can go on the side. You're not impeding the sidewalk. It's just one trash truck, not two. And how costly is it?
I mean, again, the more. So the bollards are once you buy them, you buy them. The trash trucks you pay whoever.
Yeah.
I mean,
you already have that.
Right, you have that. You have to pay that person that shift.
Now it's
money.
just overtime.
Right, if that. I mean, there's ways to figure it out too, but at least you try. They just had the attitude of, what are you gonna do, and whatever. So this is why.
Well, it's the problem with complacency. Nothing has happened yet.
But they're not. But they're not to even take responsibility for it.
Yeah. No.
That's the problem too. They blame everybody else. It's like, well, who?
Well, I mean,
that's
everywhere. It's every politician's going to blame somebody else. Very rarely does somebody actually step up and say, "Yeah, my bad." You know what I mean? But I guess we still got to figure out that we still have to wait around to see what they come up with why this happened. What was the deal with this guy? They're going to probably try and shoot us up with unicorns and rainbows.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, she did when she said that this wasn't a terror attack, and that's bullshit. Because I'll tell you right now, as soon as the guy, if he had a Trump flag hanging on the back of his trunk, it'll be right-wing terrorism.
If there was a red hat in that car, they couldn't get it out fast enough.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's Nola. We're going to move on from there. We'll talk about the Sean Ryan show now. Like I said, we're going to link the Sean Ryan video in the description so you guys can go on there and watch it for yourself. It's kind of interesting because this guy,
Shoemate,
Sam Shoemate, he's on the show. He seems pretty reputable, but now there is another guy coming out saying that he's full of shit. What he's saying,
but that guy's go ahead.
But this guy, do you know his name?
Ryan something.
I
forget. I'll look at it.
Now he's up there saying how Shoemate's full of shit. He's basically made up emails before to make him sound more reputable. But this guy who is now claiming that Shoemate is full of shit,
I'm calling Sam Shoemate.
is currently, what's his name? James
Ryan
McBeth,
an intelligence analyst. For military intelligence.
So he's he is a current
disinformation topics. Which, I mean, this sounds like the White House called on this guy real quick. So you have to forgive me if I don't believe that guy.
But here's the problem. This is where we stand, and this is the issue. Now, with the whole misinformation and disinformation bullshit that we have to deal with for the last few years, now you don't know what to believe. I tend to believe this guy who's on Sean Ryan because I tend to believe Sean Ryan.
And when Sean's wrong, he'll admit he's wrong.
He will admit he's wrong. And so far, he hasn't come out and said that he was wrong about this guy. So basically, here, why don't you give a breakdown of what this guy was on the Sean Ryan show about?
So it sounded like this guy, Sam Shoemate, contacted.
He got
Sean.
Contacted.
So Shoemate was contacted by the Livelsberger, the Green Beret who allegedly blew himself up in the Cybertruck in Vegas. He was contacted by that guy a couple days before the attack or the explosion, whatever you want to call it. So now what Sam Shoemate did in the interim afterwards, he basically contacted Sean Ryan because Sean has a mega... Livelsberger, okay. Oh, Livelsberger was asking Shoemate to try to get a hold of Fox News, Pete Hegseth, and he mentioned Sean Ryan. So he's trying to get some big names up there. I mean, maybe Tucker was mentioned. I don't know. He said some other names too. So I guess Shoemate knew somebody who knew Sean Ryan's producer, who I believe was a special warfare guy, so a SEAL himself. So, I guess they're all in the community. Shoemate calls Sean Ryan's producer. They try to vet this as fast as possible, as well as possible. At the same time, you're trying to get this news out.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounded like Sean Ryan contacted his lawyer, who was also one of Trump's attorneys, Tim Parlator. So it sounded like they were trying to do everything they could to get this information out and vet it as well as possible, as well as possible in the time that it was all happening. So there was a lot of different phone calls, and this was happening within real time. So Shoemate comes on. He basically tells Sean Ryan, "This is the information I got from Livelsberger," and it was a rant on the drones being what was the word he used? Like not gravity. It was some kind of anti-gravity. I can't even think of the word, but it sounded like some kind of like top secret gravitical. It was like some weird word I'd never even heard before. He was talking about the drones. I think he said the drones were was it Iran or China?
I'm gonna try and pull up the because I know I got it somewhere. I don't remember.
If you go in the link, we're gonna put the Sean Ryan and he does thumbnails and timestamps. So when you see the drones, it'll break down the whole episode. The episode's only like an hour long anyway. But he talks about the drones. He talks about basically what was the other thing he was talking about? He wanted to be like a whistleblower for like an illegal killings. The army illegally killing people, like basically war crimes. I think he said in 2019, and he had info to that, and he was worried that I guess the 3-letter agencies were coming for him. He was hell bent on getting to Sean before the new year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. That was weird.
And that's what I was thinking about earlier when I was on my way over here. I remember in the video that he was like, you got to get back to me basically before the new year.
The 31st or something like that.
Yeah, by the
31st.
Because, he doesn't say why. So if he got back to him before the 31st, was this still going down? Was he still going to do this?
I have no clue. That's the thing. And this is where it's like, is this a lie, or is this the truth, or is it, there's so much weird stuff going on with this. But apparently, he shot himself in the chest. Was it the chest or the head?
I think it was the head.
The head with a Desert Eagle.
Which is a pretty big gun.
It's a weird one that's the one. I don't mean like, is a 45 not going to do the job? It's just such a weird gun to use. But apparently, Shoemate was saying there was no signature, which I think he means like while they're watching the video, you can't see this guy actually drive up and kill himself. Now, it is a cyber truck. It can drive itself. Mm-hmm. Was this body put in there? That's something else they're talking about. Was this body
that was another
put
theory.
in there?
They're trying to say that the DNA of the body that was in the truck does not match Livelsberger's son.
Now, does that mean his? I have no clue what's going on. But
that presents two theories. One, that's not really his son, which just seems like that's what the mainstream media is trying to create the fire over here for you to look at. Mm-hmm. Or the other one is this was another body in there, and Livelsberger is still out there.
And it's a body where the entire inside is torched, but the credentials to identify the body
the credentials were
completely
fine. Yeah. Now listen, man,
That's a weird one.
Listen, I've been on a job, and my old partner, he could verify it, but all 12 of you who are going to watch this don't really give a shit. Where there was a major car fire on City Line Avenue, and this car was completely engulfed in flames. Everything, you can see the springs in the seats, but by the time the fire department got this off, there was tires flying, popping off and going all over because it was lit for a while. When we were looking in there was one thing that was not destroyed, and that was a Holy Bible. You saw clear as day the Holy Bible. Pages were still white. You can still read it. You can still read the transcripts that are in there. So I'm not saying it's impossible for credentials to not be incinerated, but the fact that this Cybertruck basically, if you saw the video, it just blew up. It hit fireworks. It was all fireworks. Right?
Which is odd too, because if you're a Green Beret, you know how to blow things up. You're going to know that the Cybertruck is not a truck you want to use to blow it up. You also know how to make. I mean, Chris, even we went through bomb, for explosive breaching and stuff like that.
Well, I don't think his purpose was for mass casualties.
No, but the news is kind of saying it was a terrorist attack, and then it was like, well, he was trying to blow up the car. It's like with fire. Like if this dude was a Green Beret, right? They know how to make. They're very competent people.
Yeah.
They know how to make shit go boom. I don't. Why would you burn it then? What's the point of burning it? If you don't want to, I don't want it to explode, but I want to burn it. Well, why have it? What's the point?
In the email that he sends Sam Shoemate, he's talking about how in 2019 there was an operation that he was involved in where a lot of civilians were killed, correct, overseas. And I don't know if it was Iran or I can't remember, but it was in the Middle East, and there was a lot of civilian casualties and he's saying that it was a huge cover up. He wants to bring light to that. If by blowing yourself up like that with nothing in there, or you didn't put anything out to the public, you may have tried by contacting Shoemate. It was too late because by the time he got on the Sean Ryan show, it had already happened. But why do that instead of trying to blow the whistle? I mean, he did say that according to him, that FBI and CIA were tracking him and they were on his tail.
Oh, what else? His signal was different.
His signal, which is I'm not even sure what it is. I guess it's a cell phone. It's a messaging
something like that. But the signal
or
was changed once the FBI recovered it.
His identifier on signal
was different than it was original.
So who
changed
before
it
it was recovered?
He was killed.
Before it was recovered, let's just say his identifier was Shoemate 911. When it was recovered, somehow that changed to Matt
Livelsberger.
Yeah. What did I say? Shoemate. Yeah. Livelsberger. But when that was recovered, somehow it was changed to Matt.
No. That's just I don't.
That's
know.
kind of over my head. I don't really I don't know, because if it's supposed to be
no, but it's just this happened post mortem.
Yes,
which is odd. Like, who did this? Why would you do it?
Yeah.
So now the other theory, what you're gonna call the conspiracy theory, is he's not really dead. He faked his own death.
Now who's in that truck though? That's what like who's in the truck?
Dude, it's like a weird movie.
Who's in the truck and why?
I have no idea. I mean, listen. There's a little bit you got to do with the Occam's razor here, right? The simplest idea without the most controversy seems to be the easiest.
Yeah.
That's him in there. Did he kill himself? Well, I mean, look, could someone else have killed him and drove the Cybertruck up there? I don't know. Maybe. I have no clue. But nothing is just cut and dry. And now the rumors that I heard, or what was it, Jameson's Travels we were listening to, it sounded like on YouTube, he's a former Marine. And he had a video up of that Ryan Macbeth, who was discrediting Sean Ryan. Apparently, the host on Jameson's Travels was saying that it sounded like he said at the end that Sean Ryan is underground now.
He's underground. Apparently, he tweets and then it disappears.
Is he worried about knowing too much? Dude, it's just so insane. I'm just telling you I'm just telling you what we're hearing. I can't make heads or tails of it. I like Sean Ryan. I think he's probably the most reputable person out there for this stuff. I have no clue. There's just a lot going on, and I think Sean Ryan's show ended with Sean. I think the cameras were going off. Sean turned around and he said something like, "I wonder if this fucking guy is still alive."
I mean, that's
he's a Green Beret, dude. They're not stupid. These are not stupid people.
Yeah, no.
This is kind of what they do.
Yeah.
Is they know how to just blend in and disappear.
I'm more interested in the Cybertruck than I am the NOLA. The NOLA, I kind of feel like the NOLA, we know what it is. Now you got to try to figure out who else is radicalized, and is there? I don't think it was a lone wolf. I don't think it was by himself. And right now, I think that's the general consensus that he didn't act alone. But what's going to happen next with that? Now you have to look into the future. But as far as this goes, there's so many unanswered questions. And I don't know if we're ever going to get the truth, because you have to depend on independent sources such as Sean Ryan. You can't depend on the media anymore. You can't depend on the FBI to come out and give their little press conference, because you know that they're most likely full of shit. They're not going to tell you everything. Shit, we still don't know what the hell these drones were that we talked about a couple weeks ago. You know?
I think I'm curious in the next few days, maybe this week coming up, if Sean doesn't do a quick show or video if I hear nothing from him, that would worry me more. If he comes on and says, "Hey, Sam Shoemate was full of shit. We vetted it. He's full of shit, and I'm sorry." Okay. Or, "Hey, we vetted it. Most of what he said seems to be true." Okay. If I hear nothing from him, I don't know, dude. It's just weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm curious where this goes next week. Because there's no doubt that Sean is realizing that that some people are calling him out on this. We're not. I like I said, I like to go. We're calling out people who are calling him out, and we're somewhere in the middle trying to figure out like, hey, I think the dude's being honest to the best of his ability. Are people lying and taking advantage of his platform?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but I'm curious. He's a straight shooter. If someone took advantage of him and was wrong, he'll come out and say it. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he's staying. I have no idea if he's going underground. If he's worried about that stuff coming out, I have no idea.
Well, when does he usually put a show out?
He's good for one a week.
One a week. Is there a specific day? Like we try to do Sundays, but is there a specific day for him? Or I mean, like
If it comes out on Mondays, I'm on his Patreon, so I get them earlier. So I don't know. I feel like I get it Friday, but I think it's released usually on Mondays. I think it is.
So we'll see. Maybe we'll see tomorrow. And if he does a show, until he comes out and says like this guy was full of shit and I apologize, I'm gonna take this Sam Shoemate's word for it, because I'm not gonna trust this intelligence guy who's on there saying he's full of shit, because I think you're full of shit. And that's a shame.
Yeah, no, I don't.
That's a shame that I tend to believe that you're more full of shit than someone else, and you're actually in the government, because all they've done to us is lie.
And he's a big Ukraine supporter, so it just sounds like he's a cheerleader for the government.
Yeah.
So I have no reason to believe him.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's it for what we got.
check out the show.
We will link the show. The show's about, I think it's an hour and 1 minute. Yeah. So, but there are timestamps on there. You can go to whatever section you wanna watch it. We'll put that link in our description, and hopefully we'll be back next week with some more answers or some more topics to talk about. You got anything else?
No, if something really big comes up too, we can always do a short on it.
We'll do a short.
But if nothing breaking comes, we'll probably just do this next week or so.
Yeah. All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your week. Happy New Year, and we'll see you then.